up, Doc? What's cooking? What's up, Doc? Oh, you're looking for Bugs Bunny bunting. Duck is gonna hunting just to get a rabbit skin, but now the rabbit's gonna get. What's up, Doc? What's cooking? Hey, look out! Stop! You're gonna hurt someone with that old shotgun. Yeah, what's up, Doc? We really mean it. What's up, Doc?
Hello, friends. Are you ready?
What's for dinner? I'm hungry.
Yum, 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 yum.
Delicious.
Let's go, everybody.
Yay!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of... Can we do that again? No, that's okay. Of Zoe's Blind Kitchen Corner. So here's another example of me losing my train of thought. We have a easy recipe today. And for those of you who saw my last episode, well, you know, we're making the buttermilk biscuits that are going to accommodate our bowl of chili, which I did for you guys last week. For me, it's not a week later, it's only a day later. So I made the chili yesterday. I'm gonna do the butter biscuits today. I've shredded my cheese and I've got my toppings ready. So as soon as I'm done baking these and showing you guys, I'm going to heat up the chili, serve it in a bowl, top it with cheese, add whatever other toppings we want, and I'm going to accompany that bowl of chili with these flaky, rich, buttery buttermilk biscuits. So right to our recipe today, I don't feel like I have any notes to make. Well, I can tell you guys that it's really hot and I'm sweating buckets. So anyways, so these are very easy. We have only 7 ingredients. We have 2 cups flour, just all-purpose flour, which is 240 grams. We have 8 tablespoons of butter, and that's 113 grams. We have baking powder, baking soda, sugar, salt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And our 7th ingredient is buttermilk. And it's not on the counter because buttermilk has to be extremely cold when it goes into our batter. And the kitchen should be really hot. Our oven should be really hot. So I've already preheated my oven to, actually, there you go. That beep, beep, beep just told me that my oven is preheated and ready. So I've preheated it a while ago, because ovens take a while to preheat. So I've preheated our oven to 475 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to bake on the middle rack, and I'll show you guys how to do that another time, but you should always move your racks in place before you turn on the oven. There is, of course, a way with oven mitts to do it while the oven is on, but you never know, accidents could happen, you could burn yourself. It's always nice to do it before. So I actually placed my oven rack before I started, before I even turned my oven on. So I placed my oven rack where I want it, in the middle. I turned on my oven. While my oven was preheating, I got my baking sheet ready. This is not a big batch, so 1 baking sheet should be enough. And if it isn't, that's okay. I'll do a second one later. But I've got my baking sheet ready with parchment paper, which I showed you guys how to do, how to cut parchment paper. And so that's ready and waiting. Now, I want to explain something about the butter. By the way, that's salted butter. So 8 tablespoons of salted butter. Have you guys ever tried to measure out butter? Tablespoons, teaspoons, whatever. It's hard to cut. You can soften it and then it just gets all over the place and so on and so forth. So if you ask Siri, so here we go. Siri is actually good for something. If you ask Siri how much 1 tablespoon of butter weighs, she'll come back and tell you it's 14, or actually, sorry, the question is, Siri, how much does 1 tablespoon of butter weigh in grams? She will answer you and say 14.13 grams. If you multiply that on your calculator, because I certainly can't do it with my brain, and there are some people who can, and wow to them. If you do 14.13, it's 113 grams. A stick of butter is 113 grams. So usually a package comes with 4 sticks of butter. It's 400 and I think it's 454 grams. And if you divide that by 4, it comes out to approximately 113 grams. So whoever wrote the recipe, hey guys, let's not make our life difficult. 8 tablespoons of butter, it's 1 stick salted butter. So don't sit there and fuss with your 8 tablespoons. However, if you have a recipe that calls for 4 tablespoons, well then you could divide the 113. Now that's not an even number. So who cares? Divide it by 112. Or if you want, divide it by 114. And you will get your 57 grams. So 57 grams would be 4 tablespoons approximately. And in most recipes, an extra gram of butter doesn't matter. So I'm using salted butter. Now I've cut it up into slices because I want it to melt faster, and it's already softening up because it's really hot in here. So while we're doing everything else, because this needs to be warm and not scorching hot, so I'm just going to put it in the microwave to melt it. And I've basically added a minute, and even if I over melt a little bit, it won't matter because, yeah, it just won't matter anyways. Okay, so I've measured out 2 cups of flour in my bowl. Oh, by the way, you're also going to need cooking spray so that you can, I'm going to use a 1/4 cup scoop to scoop my batter and plop it onto my baking sheet. And the oil will help the ham oil spray. And I actually hear my butter sizzling, so maybe I should just check on it. Hold on. You know, how does a blind person tell if this is fully melted? Well, it was sizzling and I didn't like that. And I'm going to grab a teaspoon now. And I'm just going around the butter and I'm feeling. And it feels pretty liquidy to me. I can't really feel with my spoon any clumps. And if there is any, they're very tiny and it doesn't matter. So this is good enough. Oh, I think I just felt one. Yeah, which, like I said, there's probably maybe 1 or 2 tiny. And I'm just mixing it up. So it's pretty, is it all melted? Mm-hmm. See, there you go. See, I was right. So I'm just going to set this aside. We're going to use this in a bit. Ow. So the bowl is quite hot, so I hope it cools down before we need it. Okay. What was I saying? Yeah, the Pam spray. We're going to use the Pam or any sort of spray. Right now, see, I'm losing my train of thought. I forget what it's called. Baking spray or something like that it's called. Anyways, okay. So I've got 2 cups of flour, which is 240 grams. And because I don't like lying. There's no way that you guys can know what I'm about to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. This is actually 244 grams. In this particular recipe, 4 grams isn't a big deal. So I just left them. I could have pulled out a little bit, but I didn't. I didn't want to. I just didn't feel like it. When it's a recipe that really needs to be exact, I'll let you guys know. So I've got baking powder. And I'm just going to add, and I have my baking spoons in my hands. I'm going to use the 1 tablespoon, the the 1 teaspoon, the half a teaspoon, and the quarter teaspoon. So out of these 6 spoons that are all hung on a ring, so it's a plastic ring and they're all hanging on a ring, I'm actually going to use 4 out of the 6. And they go in order by size. I've mentioned this before, but if you don't remember the order they go in, jot it down. Biggest is 1 tablespoon, then it's the half tablespoon, 1 teaspoon, half a teaspoon, a quarter teaspoon, and 1/8 of a teaspoon. So I need my tablespoon right now. So I'm going to add the 1 tablespoon of baking powder. I'm just scooping into my container of baking powder, and I'm leveling off with my finger and dumping it in the bowl with the flour. Okay, we're done with the baking powder. And I'm not going to take the spoon off just because I used it. I'm just going to wash these later, so who cares? So the next one is the half tablespoon. I don't need that. I need the 1 teaspoon now. So the 1 teaspoon, I'm going to add in just 1 teaspoon of white sugar. You can add less if you want. You can add more if you want. Okay. So our sugar is in. Our baking powder is in. Our flour is in. Now I need the next spoon, which is my half teaspoon. And this is a fresh container. It's a box of baking soda. I normally don't buy this baking soda. I buy, forget the brand, but it's an aluminum-free baking soda. But right now I didn't have it on hand and I needed to get it quickly. So somebody just got me your regular Arm & Hammer baking soda. So I'm actually just going to put this in the fridge. But if you don't mind using this stuff in your baking, you can put it in an airtight container and it'll last a while. In this case, I'm just going to put this in the fridge to keep my fridge smelling fresh. And I'm going to buy the baking powder that I normally buy. So I'm just going to scoop out half a teaspoon. I've leveled it off again with my finger, dumped it in, and let's put that aside. Like I said, for me, who I lose my train of thought, every ingredient I put in, it's a good idea to move it to another part of the kitchen, because then I might get confused and forget what I've done. And we need 3/4 teaspoon salt. So we don't have a 3/4 teaspoon. So we're going to use our half teaspoon and our quarter teaspoon. That gives us 3/4. I use sea salt. You guys can use whatever salt you want. Table salt, pink salt, whatever, Himalayan salt. So there's my half teaspoon of salt is in our bowl. And a 1/4 teaspoon scooped and leveled off is in our bowl. And we're going to put our salt aside. Okay, so now let's check. We said this is 7 ingredients. We've got our 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 3/4 teaspoon of salt. What am I forgetting? Baking soda, baking powder, sugar. Oh, the half teaspoon baking soda. So we've got 5 ingredients. We've got 2 left. So we no longer need our spoons. Now, let's see how cooled down my butter is. Well, I think it's too hot, but let me just see if I can put my finger. If I put my finger in my butter and I don't go, ouch, then we're good to go. If I put my finger in the butter and I go, ouch, we're not good to go. So, I didn't go ouch, but it is still a little bit hot. So, let me wipe up my fingers. I'm actually going to put this in the fridge for a few minutes, just to cool it down, because it's a little too hot. Okay, and this will cool down pretty fast. Your butter should be warm. It shouldn't be hot. Your buttermilk should be extremely cold. While that's hopefully cooling down, I'm just gonna grab my spoon. Now I've just thrown everything into the bowl. So I'm just gonna mix it all up. You don't want your sugar in one place, your baking powder in another, your baking soda in another. I'm just mixing it all up. Now, to be honest with you, it's better to do this with a fork or a whisk, because you want to whisk these. And when you're using a fork, you're actually sort of, it's almost as if you're sifting the flour. So I'm just gonna give it my all here. That's good enough. We'll put that aside. Okay, let me check on the butter and see if it's cool. So I'm in the fridge, and I think it's okay. Again, it could have been a little bit cooler, but I think it's okay. So, our 7th ingredient is 1 cup of buttermilk. And I've poured it into a stainless steel cup that I have that I use to make smoothies. So this is 1 cup of buttermilk. I'm going to pour my warm butter into the buttermilk. And I'm going to give it a stir. And drop some more in and give it a stir. Now, you should be seeing, I can't see, but you should be seeing clumps of butter. And you should be seeing clumps of butter in your mixture, for those of you who can see. Okay. Now, as a blind person, do I have lumps? Well, I do, because I can feel them. And if I want to, I can pick up and put my finger in. Yep, I feel clumps of butter. So, I'm just going to add this right into our mixture. And just in case all of it didn't come out, I'm throwing with my finger whatever's on my spoon. Okay. And I'm going to put my hand in my stainless steel cup to see if anything's left. And there's a little left, so I'm just pushing it out with my hands. And you might not be able to get all of it out, but try to get as much out as possible, because you want this part of the recipe should be pretty exact. Okay. And just wipe up the hands. And now I have a wooden spoon, and I don't want you guys to over stir this, but I'm going to give it a good stir. Okay, so I'm just, maybe I've stirred 10 times, and I'm starting to feel resistance. So now I'm just going to fold over, turn my bowl, maybe a quarter of the way. Fold over, I'm scraping the sides, quarter turn over, whoops, and fold over. And scrape the sides, and another turn, give it another stir. You just want these to be combined. And I'm just scraping the bottom now. And I'm turning. Now, how do us blind people, sighted people, they know. They can see. I'm just scraping the sides again. I'm not really stirring. I'm scraping the walls. How do we know? Well, I'm going to stick my finger in. Well, okay. You know what? It's pretty much combined, but I do feel a little bit too much flour. So I'm just going to give it another little fold and stir. Fold and stir. And I'm going to help it with my hands. I'm just pushing in wherever I feel too much flour. I'm just pushing it in. Just pushing it in. You just want this to be, you don't want to overmix. This is the problem with biscuits. And again, I'm scraping up the flour and just pushing it into my mixture. And I'm just doing like a folding motion. I'm scraping the flour and I'm pressing it into my mixture. And if there are a few little bits of flour, like I just found quite a bit, so that's not good. But if there's a little touch, it's okay. And I'm almost done. Because like we said, we don't want to over mix this, but we don't want You don't want to feel like a whole entire tablespoon of flour in one spot, if that makes any sense. Okay. And now what I'm just doing, I'm just pinching at the dough. I'm just pinching. Just like you would a dough. And that's pretty good. That's good enough. Because, like I said, I don't want my... And I just turned my dough around so that it can... I shouldn't call this a dough. I should call it a batter. It's a very sticky batter. Or a very sticky dough. I just turned it around just to... for any more flour for it to soak up. That's good enough. Okay. So, on to the fun part now. Now I've got batter all over my hands and I'm trying to get it off because I don't want to lose too much. This is not a big recipe. So I want to get, I'm feeding 5 people. I wish I should have made a double dose because I would have liked to have given them maybe 2 or 3 each. But it looks like, I don't know. I don't know how many I'm going to get out. We're going to see this together now. So, just washing my hands. Okay. Now, my counter is clear except for my batter. And I have a spoon that I don't need. I have a little plate, like a salad plate. And I have my 1/4 cup scoop. It's a measuring cup, a 1/4 cup measuring cup. And I have my Pam spray. And I need my baking sheet with me. So here's the baking sheet. And I need some napkins ready. So I'm just grabbing 1, 2, 3 paper towels. Okay. So now, shake the spray. Now, when you feel the top where it sprays out, you can feel the little hole where it sprays out. So take your measuring cup and place the spray part with the little hole you felt facing inside the cup, but pull up a little because if you touch the cup and spray, you can, but it's going to leave a lot of oil. And even the way I'm going to do it, it's going to leave a lot. And you'll have to wipe it up. So, and that's the reason I have the napkin. So I'm just going to, I've centered it approximately and I'm pulling up. Oh, and it doesn't want to spray. Great. Okay, hold on. Just maybe I don't have enough strength in my hands. There it goes. And I just moved it around a little bit, like I shook it around the way we do air freshener. Now, do I have too much in here? Well, I'm going to stick my finger in and find out. And I'm just shaking it to get any excess off. So, we're going to scoop batter into our 1/4 cup measuring cup. Don't pack it down, but level it off. Okay? So that's a 1/4 cup. I didn't pack it in. And let's see if it'll come out without me having to help it. It may. And it did. So it came out. So it just plopped right onto the baking sheet. So there's one. We've got one. Let's see how many we're going to get out of this. Actually, that one. Okay. Now, these might not be exact. You want these about 2 inches apart. So I chose my right, as I'm looking at the baking sheet, my right bottom corner. I'm going to put 2 fingers between where I dropped at the end of the dough. I'm going to put 2 fingers. I'm going to put my finger where I think it's about 2 inches apart, and I'm going to plop again. And it plopped. So now it's actually 3 fingers apart. Just the way I counted that way, it's about 3 fingers apart, which is good. You don't want these too close together. Okay? And just getting another one, scooping. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay? And again, I'm going to feel the last one that I plopped down. 2 fingers. And put my 3rd finger down. And where my 3rd finger is, I'm going to plop. Okay. Whoops. That one went a little too close and I moved it. So 3 fingers. Okay. Alrighty. So we've got 3. Let's see how many we're going to get. Okay. And I'm going to go a little faster now just because I think you guys got it. And again, I know I don't have the email ready for you guys, but as soon as I do, for right now, you can ask me. Okay, now, so I just plopped one down and it decided to roll around. At this point, it's no big deal. I can actually pick up the whole blob and move it. So this is why you should have napkins aside. I'm just wiping up my hands. If you guys have a question, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got 4 going across. If you guys have a question, you can ask on the comments below. Or you can wait until I announce the email address I can be contacted at. Or you can... Sorry, give me 1 second. All right. Okay, now, sorry, before I lose my train of thought. You can email Victor Gouvea's whoseblindlifeisatanyway at gmail.com, I believe it is. Whoseblindlifeisatanyway at gmail.com. Right, now, so I've done 5. I'm on the second row, so I need those to have a little bit of a distance as well. So about, like we said, about 2 to 3 finger length apart is probably the right. Now, the last one I just did, it kind of stuck. It was a little bit harder to get out of my measuring cup. So it needs a little bit more oil. So we've used up whatever the oil. So we want to make this non-stick again. Okay, so I sprayed it again. And my finger goes inside. Make sure the oil is distributed anywhere. And I shook it over the sink just to get rid of whatever was there. Okay. And sorry for the heavy breathing, but I'm really hot. It's a nice spring evening, pretty warm, and the stove is working at full capacity. And, well, guess what? I'm 50. So, that's to be expected. Yeah, I say my own jokes, I laugh by myself. Oh, well, I hope somebody's laughing out there. And so, looks like we're going to get about, oh, I think that one's a little bit. And you can feel a little bit with your hands if your cup, if you think it's too empty. Like, I'm not packing it in, but I want it pretty level. So I think we're probably going to get about 12 biscuits, I would say. Oops. Maybe a little less. I'm not sure. I'm not good at math. I'm not good at guessing things like this. And maybe it's because I can't see. But that's okay. Oops. Now somebody might get a biscuit that's maybe just a touch taller. That's okay. These should be baked. Now I lost my count. So I'm going to go back to the right. I know I'm on the second row, but I can't remember if I'm on my third. So I'm just going to count them. 1, 2, 3. Yep. So I'm on my 4th biscuit. And there goes the 4th. So maybe, no, I don't think we're going to get 12. Wait, oh, maybe. I don't know. I keep saying that, but nah. We're probably going to get 10. Okay. Maybe? I don't know. We'll see. That's number 1, 4, 8, 9. 9. Do we have enough to make one more? No, we don't. No. So I got 9 biscuits out of this. And I have about maybe a tablespoon left. Now it's your choice. Do you want to throw this out? This little piece. It's probably about a tablespoon. You can either throw it out or you can pinch off a little bit and stick it on top of each one. So just 1, 2. I don't want it to go to waste. I'm just sticking it. 2. Now it's very hot in here. So what's happening? The biscuits, they're starting to spread. That's not good. You don't want that. So actually, this recipe tells you that once you have these ready on your baking sheet, okay, And since I have room, I'm just going to spread them out even more. Yeah. Okay. This recipe actually tells you. So I got 9 biscuits. That really sucks because I have 5 people to serve. So what does that mean? That means everybody's going to get, 4 people are going to get 2 biscuits and 1 person's going to get 1. And that really sucks. So I should have made a double dose. And of course, I'm going to be the one to get 1 because that's not fair to everybody else. And as a hostess, you know, that's a nice rule of thumb. Whether you're cooking for your family, by the way, while I'm talking, these need to go into the fridge now. They need to go in for 5 to 10 minutes. And I'm going to explain to you again why. So give me a second. I'm just putting them in the fridge. Okay. So the 2 things. 1 for the milk biscuits. 1. Oh, let me set the timer. See? My brain is going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 10 minutes. I'm going to check them at 5, but okay, it's working. So, buttermilk biscuits for 1. If you want them nice and tall and fluffy and flaky, they should go into the oven really cold into a really hot oven. And the buttermilk, the acidity and the flakes of butter, the little pieces of butter that we put in. So when we put the butter, the warm butter into the buttermilk, we got little flakes of butter inside. So even though our butter was liquefied, when we mixed it up with the buttermilk, it became little solids again, mixed in with the buttermilk. So you want all those little flakes in your batter to distribute properly. So anyhow, there's a science behind this, and I'm not, even though I was very good at science when I was a kid, I don't remember it now, but there is a science behind this. Just remember that your biscuits should be really cold and your oven should be really hot. Hence why we preheated our oven way before we actually even started the video. And I'm going to leave them in for 5 to 10 minutes now to cool, and I'm going to put them in the oven. And your baking time is 12 to 14 minutes. Well, how are we going to know they're ready? We're blind. How are we going to know they're golden brown? Well, we aren't. We aren't. I'm actually turning around because I have, and I will show you how I think I figure it out. Well, 1, if you tap, when you bring them out, if you press slightly and it resists, so you take them out of the oven and you press slightly at the top, very lightly, and it resists, then they're pretty much done. Secondly, if you tap them and you can kind of feel a hollow, or you hear a hollow sound, then they're done. In the end, 12 to 14 minutes, it's a 2 minutes difference. And that 2 minute difference isn't going to give you raw biscuits. If you want to be more on the safe side, put them in for 13. They might be a little darker than you would like. Everybody's oven cooks differently. The thing is 475, middle rack, for sure 12 minutes, maybe 14. Now, I have more butter, and like we said, this is salted butter. I have more butter cut up in a bowl, and I didn't actually measure this out. I just cut up a whole bunch of butter in a bowl. And right now, before I actually put these in the oven, I'm going to melt this in the microwave. And I got a whole bunch of stuff in front of the microwave, so I actually can't. So I'm just moving. When your buttermilk biscuits come out of the oven, you're supposed to brush them with oops. You're supposed to brush them with a basting brush. I can do it because you can feel with your fingers where the biscuit is, and with your other hand, you can dip your brush into the bowl and then go to where your hand is and brush the top. You can, but, and here I go hearing my butter sizzling again. So let me check on it. And we're good. And by the time our biscuits come out, this will be cooled down. It doesn't matter. I like to take my biscuits and I like to dip the tops right into the butter. So I have a small bowl with the melted butter, and I'm just going to dip and wiggle it around a little bit. Don't press down too late. And then I'm going to put it, I have a wire rack behind me that I'm sure the camera can see, but I'm actually going to move it here. Well, I'm not going to move it because, see, I'm not very organized today, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just moving my stuff again. I have a small kitchen, like I said. I have to constantly make room. So here's my wire rack. It's just a baker's wire rack with legs, and I got it from Amazon. And I actually got 3 of these for, I don't know, $15, $20 max. And they're fantastic. And once we've dipped the biscuits in the butter, we're just going to set them on the wire rack. No, you don't want to cool these completely. Just until we serve our chili. We're just going to have them on the wire rack. And I actually might put some tin foil or some parchment paper or something underneath just to catch the drips. So I'm not wiping up my counter with, from butter, melted butter. So I'm actually going to put something underneath there to cover just in case we spill. I was mentioning before the hostess thing. Whether you're a hostess at a party, so whether you're serving guests, whether they're acquaintances or relatives or friends for dinner, you're having friends over for dinner, or I don't know, maybe your spouse's work people, colleagues, sorry, or whether you're doing it for your family. I feel, and this is mine, somebody might disagree, and that's fine, but the way I feel, I'm cooking, I want to please, I want the people who are eating my food, I want them to be completely satisfied with all their senses, taste, touch, sight, so on and so forth. So if I have to eat less because my recipe came up short, as it did now, then I will rather eat less for myself so that I can serve more to my, in this case, my family. So I'm going to check on the biscuits. I think we're ready to go. Yeah, they feel really cold to me. So I'm going to put my oven mitts on because I'm dealing with a very hot oven and I don't want to burn myself. So, and I'm pulling the biscuits out. And I'm trying to hold the tray with one hand and close with the other hand. So, I'm going over to, I'm actually going to put them down for a second. Well, no. Okay. Hold it with one hand. And get my glove on. I don't want, I could have put this, I'm trying to hold it with one hand and cameraman is helping me because I want to put them in the oven. I don't want this to come in contact with any warmth until they start baking. So open the oven, feel for the rack with my gloves, got them in, and I'm just centering because I'm using my gloves to feel the bars, centering, and they're in. And my timer, we're going to set for 12 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 minutes. And that's it. I'm going to check them at 12 minutes. I'm going to show you guys. And that's it for our recipe. Very nice, very ready. So while I'm waiting for the 12 minutes for these to bake, I'm going to actually maybe serve my chili, serve the toppings, warm up chili, clean up a little bit, and by the time these come out, I'm going to show you how if I feel, that they're ready, and I'm going to show you how to dip them in the butter and so on and so forth. So, see you in a few minutes. Let me do my work and I'll be back to show you the results. See you in a bit. Hi guys, so we're back. So our 12 minutes is up, our timer's going off, and I did try to clean up in that time, but I didn't get to finish. Anyways, I'm opening up the oven, letting the steam come out a little bit. Now, I'm gonna pull them out, even though I don't know if they're ready. They do smell good. Whoops. And I'm going to try to feel. Okay. They feel very, boy, did they spread. But they look delicious. They feel really soft to me. If I tap them, not getting as much of a hollow sound as I like, but at the bottom, I am getting a hollow sound. So, ooh, this one got nice and tall. Yeah, so some of them were a little bit colder, I guess. They look really good. If I was alone, they feel like they're done at the bottom, but they're not totally colored on top. That's what they feel like. I personally think they're done, and I wouldn't put them in anymore. If you were unsure, you could put them in for 1 more minute if you wanted to. I'm not going to. And I'm just going to get somebody to confirm. Like either the cameraman or my mom who's on the couch. Mom! Hello. So she's ignoring me, but you know, that's okay. Let her confirm. I wouldn't put them back in, but let's see what mom says. Just to prove my point. I did so when I press with my finger, I am getting a little bit of a resistance. It's very soft. Some of them are giving me more of a resistance than others. Mami, πώς φαίνονται το color από πάνω? Από πάνω σου λέω. Από πάνω τα βλέπεις με τα μάτια σου, μαμά, είμαστε στο κιάμα.
Καλούτσικα, αλλά μέσα είναι λίγο... Okay.
Mama, what is the color on top?
Little brown, it's not much brown.
And
Από
on
κάτω too much brown.
Exactly. So she's saying on the bottom that they cooked more, and on top they're light. So I'm not going to put them back in because I think they're done. I could put them in and put them on broil, but that means that they might actually burn. Not because I'm broiling them, but because the bottom has already too much color. So when I felt it on the bottom and told you guys I feel an echo, and I felt that there was a lot of resistance on the bottom, I was right, they're done. The top doesn't have as much color, that's okay. To sighted people, it bothers them. To blind people, don't worry, they're done. So that's our buttermilk biscuits, and you know what? I'm going to put my baking rack next to the butter. I'm going to pick up a biscuit. Now they're a little hot, so be careful. And I'm just going to let it, whoops, I'm just dipping the top in, and I'm wiggling it around and turning it over and putting it on the rack. And the next one, whoops. And the next one, same thing. And this one fell apart, actually. A little piece fell off, which is okay. Now we can actually see if they're done inside. And they are done. So they're very flaky. And the next one. So you're just going to do them all like I am now. And I'm going to go a little quicker because I don't want these to cool down extremely before I serve them. I mean, they have to cool down a little bit, right, guys? Because right now they're scorching hot. But by the time I actually put because the chili is served in its bowls, but I haven't warmed it up. So while it's going to take me, what, 4 minutes, 5 minutes to warm everybody's chili up. So I'm going to warm it up. And by the time these will be ready to eat, they'll be nice and warm. They won't be scorching hot. Now, I pretty much run out of butter at this point. So that means I probably over dipped or I didn't have enough butter to begin with. So these are ready. I'm going to do the rest off camera because I need to melt some more butter. So guys, that's it for our recipe today. I hope you guys enjoy this just as much. You know what? I'll let you know in the next episode how these tasted. I'm pretty sure they taste fantastic. So See you on our next episode. It's time for us to have dinner. Buttermilk biscuits, 12 minutes in the oven, 375 degrees Fahrenheit, middle rack. And I've already run down the ingredients. And have a great week, guys. Until the next episode, a blind kiss to all of you. Bye for now. I am your host, Zoe Fiogos. With sincere love and gratitude, I thank you for watching Zoe's Blind Kitchen Corner.